Traveling the Vortex.
We've joined the Doctor as she travels the Vortex and arrived at episode number 459, and we're changing our podcast name. We're going to be now known as Three Idiots Roaming. I'm Keith.
I'm Sean.
I'm Glenn.
How are you guys?
I'm an idiot roaming.
Pretty good.
We're not actually going places. We're talking about our cell signal. We're all in roaming in Sean's basement.
It's a very boring podcast. You have any bars yet? Nope.
Can you hear me now?
Nope.
Do you guys have a good week?
If this was a Super Bowl ad, it'd be, it doesn't work in the basement.
It'd be the opposite of that one.
Yeah, it was a good week. Chiefs won.
Yeah.
Woo!
Congratulations to them.
Yes. First Super Bowl in 50 years.
It's pretty impressive.
That's impressive.
It was a good game, too.
Yeah, they played a really good game. I mean, it was from both sides. 49ers played a good game. Chiefs played a good game. All around, it was a good game.
And you know the absolute best thing about it? The Patriots weren't in it.
That's right.
But Tom Brady had a commercial, didn't he? Wasn't that Hulu commercial?
I guess I missed that one.
Was that who that was?
I think that's what that was.
There were several commercials where people that I kind of felt like I was expected to know who they were showed up, and I didn't know who they were.
Oh, I didn't. It wasn't until I got to the end of that one commercial that I realized that was Molly Ringwald. It's like, oh. Huh.
Now, the best commercial of the night was Jeep.
Was the Groundhog Day?
Day.
Yeah, that was my winner.
Yeah.
I had actually seen that before the Super Bowl.
I saw it leak earlier in the day.
Yeah, well,
I don't know
it's
when
been playing on.
posted,
It's been playing on front of videos on YouTube all weekend. So
the updated Walmart "Come Get Your Groceries" one was a close second.
I like that one too. They must have spent a fortune licensing all those properties. So that was good.
They had the money to spend.
They had some fun ones. I didn't think there were some that were a bit stupid, but they always have those few. But I thought overall the quality of the commercials was pretty decent this year. So it wasn't as many clunkers.
The Snickers hole. It's already working.
Did you guys do anything else?
Not really. We got Jim a toddler bed, so we put that together Saturday and
How's that working
did some
out?
rearranging. All right, so far. The bedtime routine hasn't really changed, but she's sleeping in it, so
Oh, that's good.
hopefully that means it'll change the bedtime routine so she goes and lays down in her bed and goes to sleep. But it's going to be a gradual process. She likes it a lot, though. She likes going and laying down and pretending to go to sleep and then waking up and yawning. And it's a great plaything right now.
Baby steps to the elevator. Baby steps to the car. We watched all 3.5 hours of The Irishman.
How was it?
It's good. It's very signature Scorsese. And it is, honestly, it's kind of a different mob story than I think has been told before, and certainly what he's done before, which was kind of cool. It does not need to be 3.5 hours. It's not that it's not enjoyable. It just kind of moves at its own pace. And, I mean, we were watching it and kind of getting into the evening and getting into the night, and then it felt like we were 4 or 5 hours in. And I went and, Mel was getting tired, and I was like, okay, where are we at? Oh, we still got another hour to go on this thing. So we broke it into 2 parts. But it was good. I don't think it's going to win the Oscar. I think it peaked too early.
Yeah.
The length could have.
Sean didn't watch anything else because that was 3.5 hours.
Yeah, that was kind of the entirety of my movie consumption.
Did you watch anything, Keith?
I did not. Well, finished The Good Place because the finale was on Thursday. I cannot sing that show's praises high enough. It's so good, and it's been good throughout the entire run. It's definitely worth watching if you have not seen.
It's one of those that is such a rarity because we tend to discuss shows that were really good but died before their time.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's a dozen of those. And for every one of those, there's at least a dozen more of the shows that were really good, but then probably stuck around a little too long or failed to stick the landing, and we kind of go, all right, glad that's over and done with. And then there's this perfect spot in the middle where The Good Place falls. And it's consistently good and surprising and funny and engaging. And
thought-provoking.
Every episode, you're wondering, where are they going with this? What are they going to do next? How are they going to get out of this? And then I'm very, very sad to see it go, but it ends in a beautiful and perfect way right when it needed to.
Yeah.
And it just, I'm right there with you. I cannot say enough good about it.
Definitely worth watching.
I've seen the entire first season and the first 3 of the second season. My problem is I watched the first 3 episodes when it first started of the first season, and I just didn't. It was funny. It was good, but I thought there's not really my thing. And then everybody raved about it. So I went back and I started watching from 4 on, and I stuck with it. And I thought, oh, this is really good. This is great. And then of course when they got to the end of series 1, and I went, well, where are they going to go with this? And so I started watching, and then the same thing happened with series 2. As I watched the first 3 episodes, and I was like, this is kind of boring. They aren't doing anything. So I need to go back.
You should push through those.
I have no doubt, because the first series I enjoyed it so much. I have no doubt that. But I disagree with Sean's statement that every episode, because there's obviously some lulls for me.
I felt the same way at the very beginning, because I
once
don't
you
think
get
it was
past
till probably
those
episode 4 or 5 that I really latched onto it. But then going back, it was like, yeah, that was the perfect setup for what comes later. And
I agree.
The second half, or the first couple of episodes of season, because when you get to that dun 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 moment at the end of season 1, you're like, oh, where do you go from here? How are you possibly going to do this? Are you just going to, and then it feels very much like, oh, okay, I guess we're going to, but then they don't. And it's right at about the 4th episode in season 2 that all of a sudden they throw you that curveball.
Yeah.
And then the curveballs just keep coming.
I have absolutely no doubt that I will enjoy it once I get, but I stalled out again because I got those 3 or 4 episodes that I was like, I'm bored again.
It's one of those things where it's all setting up things for, so when you look back at it, you go, oh, that's why we did this.
Oh, I know. I from the experience from the first season, I know that's why they're doing that. But unfortunately, I get into those lulls, and it's not for, like, I was like, okay, I'm done for a while. It was I got 3 episodes in, and then because I wasn't captivated, I wasn't pushed to go watch another one, and so then I would forget that I was watching it, and then it'd be months later, and I'm like, oh crap, I should go back and start watching the Good Place again. So that's what's happened. It's not because I thought, oh, this is really boring, I'm giving up. It was I have forgotten because I wasn't as excited about watching them. Usually when I get into them and I start, kind of mainlining, I'm doing 3 or 4 episodes in a setting, which is nice that you can do sitcoms that way, because you get an hour and a half in and you've already watched 3 episodes. And so when I do that, but yeah, when sometimes I'll hit a wall and I'll go, oh, I'll just watch more of this later, and then I forget to watch it.
I do have to say, I think it wasn't until season 3 that it really became the top of my list of, I got to make sure I watch it each week. There would be some weeks, because I didn't mainline any of it. I watched it as it aired, and some of it was, okay, that'll be kind of in the middle of the pack of when I get to it, I'll get to it, but I'm going to make sure I get to it. But then once it gets to a certain point, it becomes, I got to make sure I get to this quickly because it's so good.
I sort of have to mainline them, or I forget to watch a week, and then I'm getting 2 or 3 behind. Then I go, I'm so far behind now, I'll give up.
It maybe for us it was because it was kind of a palate cleanser in a way, because we were watching a lot of heavy hour-long drama.
So
and
you're
all
watching
of a sudden the Good Place was stuck in the middle of it. It was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Which in my, but that's still a heavy sitcom. I mean, the subject matter, a lot of it was talking of, it's a sitcom about philosophy. And when you break it down, I mean, that's not really light material either. They balance it with, toilet humor, but
And then Jason will show up and do something.
But then he's also sometimes profound too. So
Yeah.
that's what was great about it. It balanced the toilet humor with the depth.
I'm really going to miss that show.
Yeah.
But
I didn't really watch any of this thing this week, but I've been on a Star Wars kick. So back into the canon stuff. I've been reading a bunch of the comics from the prequel era with like the Age of Republic books, the first couple of those, and then I'm reading Queen's Shadow now, so which is a young adult novel surrounding Queen Amidala. So, although she's not queen anymore.
Former Queen Amidala.
Former Queen Amidala at this point.
Have the comics been pretty good?
Yeah, I've been yes and no. I quite enjoyed the three Age of Republics I read: Qui-Gon Jinn, Darth Maul, and Obi-Wan. Those are all one-off, just one story each. I really enjoyed the Darth Maul 5-issue series that they did. The one that I didn't like was the Obi-Wan and Anakin. I thought it spends a lot of time spinning its wheels, and Anakin it throws you into they're on their way to a mission, and Anakin is already thinking about leaving the Order, and so you're kind of like, did I miss something? They act like they've been talking about this for a while, and then it flashes. So it does a series of flashbacks to set that story up as well. And I think that the way they do it, I think I understand why they did it that way, but structurally it doesn't quite gel. It doesn't quite work. At the same time, they've got this present day or present time mission happening that I think really fizzles and doesn't really go anywhere. You have no sympathy for the people that they're helping or not helping, and it's really weak. So that's been so far my
it has some cool
least
ideas.
favorite.
I agree. I agree with you about
It
the
does.
structure being flawed. And I thought the mission was honestly far more interesting than what Anakin was complaining about. But even it was not all that great.
That's the problem. Is I think that if they had focused more on that, telling that story of the mission, they could have made that better. But it seems to suffer from the fact that they're doing this dual narrative.
Yeah.
And so they don't really push the mission that they're. It's almost like the people become expendable characters for the sake of telling this story.
Yeah, they're just pawns to be moved around.
That's about it. That's about all I did.
You have the Vader comics?
They're right now they're free on Kindle Unlimited. So
Read the Vader comics.
yeah, I've read the first 5. I think there's several series of that in there. I think I read the Volume 1 collection, which was the first 5 stories, which I enjoyed. That I did last year. So. I'm kind of, as I was telling Keith before the podcast, I've kind of gone back and decided to do things kind of linearly. Not. I may jump around later, but right now I'm kind of focused on prequel era stuff because I'm trying to get a lot of that done before Clone Wars. Not because there's a lot of backstory I need.
Gotcha.
It's just I'm kind of reveling in that era, and I'm going to kind of get all that stuff out of the way before the Clone Wars Series 7 comes out. So
I feel like I need to read the Kanan the Last Padawan before I go any further into Rebels.
I
certain
actually
reasons.
read that.
I'm getting ready to start the last season of Rebels too. I forgot I had caught up on that. So that's that's not true. I have 2 more episodes in series season 3. So it's the 2-part finale. The one that I just finished was the Obi-Wan Maul one, which was man.
Yeah, it's probably one of the best episodes of the entire series.
So emotional, so good. Yeah. There's not a lot to it, but emotionally there's a lot of substance to it. So good. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
That was really good. Man, that was really good. I'll tell you, Rebels is one of those series, though, that I don't think it really picks up until the middle of Series 2. The first series feels like, hey, this is a fun Star Wars series with, some cool characters. The coolest thing about Rebels, though, is they have brought concept art that Ralph McQuarrie did and made them characters in the series. So like Zeb is the concept art for Chewbacca. The original's
Right.
concept art. His design is. In Series 3, they have these assassin droids that is the original concept art for C-3PO. You know, the kind of the Metropolis droid.
Mm-hmm.
They bring, you know, we've talked about this before, the Rebel Transport, which was a toy that was not in anything before. Its first appearance was in Rebels, and of course it's been in The Mandalorian as well. But when it showed up, and I went, they finally put this toy on screen. This is brilliant. So,
it wasn't even in any.
It hasn't been in. It has not been
anything.
on any. No, it wasn't on anything that's been on television. This was its first.
Of course, droids had a whole slew of. Yeah, that's not even a thing, but now
Right,
it's a toy.
right, exactly. Well, that's it. That's what droids was for. Was
to make toys.
to sell toys, make and sell more toys. So. Yeah, so high praise for Rebels as far as it becoming a very good series.
It doesn't really take off until season 2.
Yeah, middle of season 2 even, I think.
I think early on with what they do, introducing some old characters.
Well, that's just it. It becomes very nostalgic for the first part of the series. And then it becomes you become very engaged from about mid-season on with what's happening. So
I would agree there. The plot really picks up.
Yes.
Yeah.
By the way, Disney Plus, if you wanted to add droids and Ewoks to the service anytime now, would
I think they could do it and just brand it Legends. Just make sure people understand, the kids that are watching it, that of course those particular stories don't contradict anything from either series.
They're
just
so
fun.
far out there.
Yes.
I watch these videos called Caravan of Garbage. Actually, it's Mr. Sunday Movies is the YouTube channel, and they do what's called Caravan of Garbage. And every once in a while, they do. One of the guys on there is huge into Star Wars, and they've done a few of the Droids cartoons, but they have pointed to a lot of stuff from the Droid series that they really seriously believe was influences for the prequel series, or the sequel series, the sequel trilogy, and they point to a very Rey-like character in one of the early episodes of Droids. Of course, they've got Kybo Ren is one of the characters in Droids, which is not anything at all similar other than in name.
I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah, there's a Kybo Ren. And of course we've got Kylo Ren, and then there was one other thing, and I sure wish I could remember what it was, but it was another thing that they said, that's very much like the new series of movies, and so they're convinced that a lot of the guys working on the new the production crew for the sequel series sequel trilogy were fans of Droids. It got a lot of inspiration from that.
Well, who wasn't a fan of droids? I mean,
no, yeah, I love Droids. That was my Star Wars fix when I was a little kid.
Yeah,
and that theme song.
I love the theme song.
You got a theme song by a member of the police. I mean, come on.
All right, we've talked far too much about Star Wars. This is the Doctor Who podcast. Maybe we should move on to news.
Thus ends 3 idiots traveling, roaming.
roaming. Now we move on to the traveling section of the podcast. Hero Collector, who designs and puts out a variety of collectibles, is making some Doctor Who baking sets. So there are 3 different sets you can buy, or that will be coming out. A TARDIS and Cook Dalek cookie set. So these are officially branded. You get a cookie cutter of each, a Who themed apron, and then a recipe / icing book. There's going to be a one that's called Tea Time Lords set, which is cookie cutters of 10, 11, 12, and 13, plus a tea towel. And then a Monsters cookie set, where you get cookie cutters for Cybermen, Santaras, Weeping Angels, and the Silence, plus a tea towel. That's all the news we got this week.
So I'm imagining.
We're going to talk about this, aren't we?
I sincerely hope, for those of you who have made
for those
sugar
of you who are
cookies,
fans of Bake Off and Doctor Who, your worlds collide.
I sincerely
Yeah,
hope.
no, there's a market. Don't get me wrong. I'm not putting that down. I have absolutely no interest in that kind of thing. And so I thought, okay, we'll talk about this bit of news, and those people that are excited about that kind of thing, we'll get excited about that and we'll move on. Sean's launching into some discussion here, so let's see where this goes.
They're cute, too.
Does it show them?
Yeah.
Because I can only imagine that for those of you who have made sugar cookies, that these are the red and green plastic ones that aren't all that deep, but it's because they've got the outline impression on the inside of the cookie. Yeah, okay. So that's good, because for a moment I thought you were...
It's funny you said red and green, but it's because you're thinking of the Christmas ones.
Well, that's the only time I make sugar cookies for Christmas. But yeah, versus the metal, it's just the outline of, whatever shape you're going to do.
Oh, no, this gives an indent.
And those kind of suck, because they never...
The outline ones? Yeah.
It's like, oh, look, it's an angel. Or it's a blob after it's done baking. So when you started to say the 9th, 10th, 11th, it was like, how are they? Oh, it must be the other ones. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to know that. I don't think that...
guess what you guys are getting for Christmas next year.
If you're looking for a Christmas gift for me, I don't make cookies that often. And in fact, Mel and I have kind of sworn off of them.
Too bad. This is the indent ones. You're getting them.
Why should you get an apron and or a tea towel?
I don't get them both?
Well, it depends on what set you buy.
Oh, I see. Well, you're getting all the sets. Both of you get
all three sets.
All 3 sets.
Multiple tea towels.
No price point. Come in spring, summer 2020.
I'll probably be eating my words. I'll spend $100 on gifts next year.
You will definitely be eating your words, because if you buy them, I will be compelled to make cookies.
Hey! Oh, that'd be all right.
Reason for Glenn to make them.
That'd be all right.
Buy them.
That might be worth the purchase then.
This is going to be a great thing. It'll be a family. We'll get the grandkids together.
3 idiots
make
cooking.
Cookies. And then it just becomes a nah. And then you got that bowl full of dough in the fridge that's left over, and this wasn't fun, and nobody wants to ice them. And
I think you're making cookies wrong. I've never had leftover dough.
Have you ever done it with grandkids?
No,
I've done it with a 2-year-old.
That's where the leftover.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've done it with young kids though.
Yeah.
No, because after they're done and they've burned out on it, I set it there and finish up the dough.
In fact, we got to the point where we had the first batches done and baked and all set aside, and then put them in a Ziploc because nobody wanted to ice. We were all kind of at each other's throats at that point. And then a couple of days went by.
No wonder you've hung it up.
A couple of days went by, and Mel and I even threw the cookies out. We were just like, we're not even going to. I don't need them.
Oh, wow.
But thank you for the lovely gift.
Sean's getting a gift card now.
Wait, you mean all I have to do is tell some horror story?
All right, what do we got for feedback?
I guess there is one other bit of news I just came across.
Okay.
Or / remembered.
Of course there is. I've already moved on. Of course there's another piece of news.
Is it a cake baking pan?
No. An actor from Series 12 will be at Kansas City Planet Comic-Con. Spencer Wilding.
Oh, yeah.
coming back.
Yeah, I saw that.
Friend of the show, Spencer Wilding.
Yeah.
Welcome
Who, of course,
back,
played
Spencer.
main dreg or whatever, dreg leader in that great episode.
I can finally get him to sign a Darth Vader, too, now.
Yeah.
This is the last time we saw him, he couldn't tell us that.
Yeah.
All right, now
That's
let's
it for
move on to
news.
feedback.
First up is Jamie.
Jamie writes, Series 12, Episode 5. Okay, Vortexers, here it is, the halfway point. Let's start with the fact that I don't mind spoilers. Every so often, there will be something I'll avoid spoilers on. However, most of the time, I'm actively seeking them out. So yes, I'll listen to these upcoming episodes, even if I haven't seen the episode in question. I did that for your Torchwood and your SJA coverage. Turns out that Fugitive of the Judoon is available for free on BBC America's website, unlike Orphan 55, which requires you to log in with your cable provider. So I'm going to watch it and then give my thoughts on the first half of the season. First, a couple of things. You talk in your last episode about the possibility of other dimensions, and that's where the Ruth Doctor and the new Master come from. You talked about that, the possibility of the fam being part of this other dimension. And those are interesting ideas. Could we be headed for a Crisis on Infinite Earths sort of thing here? Just watched the Arrowverse one, so I'm a bit in that zone right now. Unfortunately, according to TARDIS Wiki, while Fugitive of the Jejune left it unclear where this incarnation of the Doctor fits into the Doctor's life, Chris Chibnall confirmed to the Mirror that she is definitely the Doctor. This is not a sort of parallel universe going on. There's no tricks. Which, unfortunately, makes this placement harder and more potentially paradigm-shattering. I'm enjoying it so far. Just reached the lighthouse. The Jejune were done well. I enjoyed the return of Captain Jack. He seemed rather happy and having fun without the dark seriousness of Torchwood. I would have loved for him to have a bigger role, however. Something that occurred to me, and I did look it up to clarify, is Ruth's name. It's either brilliant fan service or lazy fact-checking. The Ruth Doctor's name before the reveal is Ruth Bradley. This also happens to be the name of the actress who plays Molly O'Sullivan in the Dark Eyes box sets from Big Finish. Probably just coincidence, but as I said, it's either brilliant fan service or lazy fact-checking. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Something that occurred to me, and I did... Oh, I just read that. Another theory I've heard is that the Ruth Doctor might fit between Troughton and Pertwee in Season 6B, when the Doctor was doing missions for the CIA. Not sure my thoughts on that. Having seen the episode, there's a lot of, what did I just see? Where the heck are they going with this? I'm interested to see what the Timeless Child and Lone Cybermen are revealed to be, and hope the resolutions are closer to RTD's than Moffat's. Right, so I've been rambling a bit. Sorry about that. A lot on my mind with this. Anyway, the final verdict on Fugitive of the Jejune? Enjoyable. It throws a lot at you with very few answers. I hope we get at least some of them this season. So, the first half of Series 12. I've enjoyed it so far. After the previous season tried so hard to distance itself from the past, this one seems to embrace it with open arms. The Master, Gallifrey, the Jejune, the Chameleon Arch, Captain Jack. It feels like everything's a callback to the RTD era. YouTuber Stu Bagfuls, that's a mouthful, review of Spyfall pointed out a whole bunch. It's definitely been a wild ride with Orphan 55 seemingly an anomaly. Looking forward to where we go from here. Jamie continues. By the way, Warren Brown, who plays Jake...
This is in Praxeus.
Praxeus. Is no stranger to the world of Doctor Who. He's been in a lot of Big Finish, primarily Sam Bishop, in the Kate Stewart unit box sets. And I don't know why my phone decided to skip the in-between email, in which he says, by the way, congratulations on the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl. It's only taken 50 years, so it's well earned. And they beat the 49ers, who I don't care for that much. As far as Praxeus, I haven't seen this one. It's another BBC America website wants you to log in for, but it sounds like it was a good one. The environmental message seems to be handled better this time. The guest characters sound like they're worth investing in, and the companions all get something to do. Looking forward to your coverage on that episode. Jamie. Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you, Jamie.
I will say, as far as Chibnall confirming to the Mirror that she's not an alternate universe, it is the Mirror who doesn't have a great track record. I haven't seen him acknowledge that to anybody else. Everybody's reporting what he allegedly told the Mirror. So, I mean, not that there's a chance that the Mirror's not right, because they, like I said, their track record's about 50% on their Doctor Who stuff, but they are a tabloid, and they do tend to write things that are not necessarily always true.
Well, and even if
not necessarily the news.
If I were Chibnall and, I was trying to misdirect people, also, I would go to a tabloid and say these lies, and no one would know. People wouldn't necessarily believe them, and it wouldn't damage their credibility because they don't have good credibility anyways. So it's, you're not going to admit before the reveal.
But Chibnall would damage his credibility. I
true.
think that's the problem that I see with that. So if he did indeed talk to the Mirror, then I think that he's not lying, that he is saying that, the Doctor's...
There's just no way to know.
It's not a parallel universe Doctor,
Well, and squeezing...
But I also think that if you look at it from a perspective of parallel universes as opposed to a paradoxal event, which is still technically a different universe, but not in the sense of like multiverse ideas.
Right.
So he may be saying this isn't a multiverse Doctor. This is, but could still be a paradoxal.
That's true.
Doctor, which is also multiple, alternate universe, but
and kind of falls into the no tricks
right,
trick.
Exactly.
But
so
I kind of like the idea of it being sandwiched into that season 6B, but I still think that poses potential problems for numbering and things down the road.
Moffat,
the Time Lords
did that.
Out,
Moffat did that too, but I don't see them putting her in season 6B though. I don't see that doing that kind of thing. If
it's a little too
if anything, it would be a different. They would. I think it would be sandwiched newer than older if he were to actually do it. So
yeah,
we'll find out.
Hopefully.
Time will tell.
I'm not going to fully believe whatever Chibnall says until it's revealed on the actual show what's going on anyways.
Although he's done a good job of not having to lie to us. He just hasn't told us what's happening yet. So.
Right.
Rule 1,
lies of omission.
That was Moffat's tactic. Moffat would blatantly lie and troll fans about things. Chibnall has just been really coy, and this season has been really good about holding all of his cards to his chest. Yeah. So I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, that's another reason to suspect the mirror is...
Why would he come out and say before the show actually reveals? I mean,
what's
going on with this Doctor?
They've held on to all of these big reveals that have happened thus far this season. And now you're telling me he's going to come out and defend one of those choices and go, oh, no, it's not an alternate universe. I don't buy it.
Seems... I mean, if he had gone on the circuit and told a bunch of other papers that, then I would go, okay, well, then that's confirmed. But confirming to the mirror is not confirming anything. All right,
Did you hear the big news?
What's the big news?
Traveling the Vortex confirmed to the mirror that they are changing their name to 3 Idiots Roaming. That was confirmed by the mirror.
Confirmed by the mirror.
Confirmed it. Other feedback comes from Holly. She writes, "Hey guys, interesting episode. The whole thing about with astronaut Adam was interesting. For a minute at the beginning of the episode, I thought either Yaz or Graham was going to pull out some psychic paper to show they were top-secret agents of some sort. The pathogen that Adam was infected with looks very nasty. I was beginning to like Suki, and the Doctor is right. She is a sucker for scientists. Almost laughing typing this on my phone when I started to type in scientists, it came up with Scorby as one of the options.
Scorby the farthest thing from a scientist, but...
Jake helping pilot one of the ships I didn't see coming to help with the antidotes. Very glad the Doctor was able to save Jake. The previews for next week's episode look very interesting. I'll wrap it up here. Holly from Wisconsin."
Thank you, Holly.
Thanks, Holly. Our review.
All right, let's move on to our reviews.
Team TARDIS investigate the connection between a missing astronaut in the Indian Ocean, birds behaving strangely in Peru, and a U.S. naval officer who washes up on a Madagascan beach. Very good synopsis. I mean, it's accurate, but it's just not very exciting.
I liked it. I liked this episode. I thought it was fine. It was nothing to write home about, but nothing to be disappointed about either. It was intriguing, and I think there was a lot of suspense going on, especially in the first part when you weren't quite sure what was going on. I think the first half of the episode does a really good job of giving everybody something to do while also piling on other characters in this story, which I think they handled really well. It was, when you throw this many people into a story, sometimes you run up against the possibility of cramming it full of too many people. Mm-hmm. And I really felt like everybody kind of had something to do in this.
Quite surprisingly.
Quite surprisingly.
Quite honestly.
Especially
since
we're
not expecting them to pull it off.
We've been complaining this season about our companions not having enough to do, and then you start throwing other things
If anything, there were probably a couple of supporting cast that could have been not included, but their involvement was just so minimal that it wasn't that big of a deal. Because it wasn't one of the main cast relegated to that, it worked to its benefits.
It felt very much like the inclusion of some of the smaller characters that actually didn't wind up having much to do with the story. I think kind of helped it feel a little bigger. I mean, obviously we've got some world hopping going on, so there's so a lot of globetrotting, and that definitely opens up the scope of it. But these other characters were kind of just enough flavor for the enrichment of the important character. You know, it kind of gave them, just grounded them a little bit more, made them a little more real, and then we moved on with that person.
And I thought the overall plot with the virus and the motivation behind the virus, I thought was well thought out, and it didn't feel rushed, it didn't feel tacked on. The motivation for why this was happening, I thought was both, they almost start to get you with you almost start to feel sympathetic for Suki and her species, and then you get to the realization that, oh no, they chose Earth because of this.
Right, because of all the plastic.
It swings you both directions, all in one scene. I really appreciated that. And the fact that, we know why they were doing this. So many times especially in Chibnall's run, the villain's motivations have been kind of nebulous of why did you do this?
Right.
This was very clear, and I like that a lot about it.
I also like the fact that I don't know that you can necessarily be unsympathetic about it. I mean, yes, it's presented, you picked Earth. How dare you?
As a petri dish.
There's kind of that tone in the Doctor's voice. But realistically, Earth had plastic. It was this. It had the trash and it had what we need. How often do Earth scientists inject mice with things because, this is how we're going to learn things? I mean, to this alien species, we're mice. I mean, realistically, it's not necessarily that big a leap to make. That it's not malevolent. It's just
it's morally gray, which I thought was which I appreciated.
Now, I'll be honest, I definitely feel like I need a rewatch on this one because I don't know if it was the exhaustion from the Super Bowl kicking in or not, but I didn't get to the episode until today. And I felt like I was having trouble keeping up with it because the first half especially is so breakneck paced.
Well, it's very frantic. The whole episode goes at a frantic pace, which I kind of liked because it's captivating. It keeps your attention the entire time.
But I also felt like there were things that maybe were flying over my head because I wasn't quite in step enough to be frantic with them.
Well, I think the frantic pace made it suffer from being able to do a lot of throwaways, like who contacted, who did who was it really Adam that called? What's his name? His husband, because. Then when the guy gets there, Adam seems very surprised that he's there. What are you doing here? Right. And so they never really explain. There's a lot of little things loose ends that didn't necessarily get tied up.
Yeah, and so maybe that's where I'm. If I have a negative, it's those kind of things that I was too tired to really think my way through those loose ends, and so I just kind of let it go. Which, again, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. I don't need to have everything spelled out for me. But I definitely feel like I need a rewatch just to make sure that I understood everything that I was given.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons this episode also works is while it has a political message, it's a message we've gotten before.
Yeah. With
the dangers of plastics. It's a different kind of message about it, but it's still... It's much more focused on the Earth part as opposed to, they're going to come to life and kill us. But it's kind of a similar...
nice Auton name
drop. I love the
Auton
drop.
But it's still kind of a similar theme and idea, just taken to the modern times. And I think that worked really well for it.
It did. I think it skirts up on the edge of being preachy, but it doesn't quite get there.
Yeah.
And so I kind of appreciated that, especially as preachy as like the last two series have been.
Yeah.
And people have been crying foul, and I'm sure people will cry foul all over this one as well. But I didn't feel like this. You know,
It does.
there's been some times where I felt like things were ham-fisted, but this one I didn't feel like it was.
It does that classic Doctor Who thing of making everyday things scary to you, where they've taken plastic and turned it into a virus, and look at this new level of plastic that you've never thought of before.
Well, but the plastic wasn't the virus.
Well, no,
the,
but
the virus fed on the plastic.
Yeah, but you know,
right.
It's taking the Auton idea to kind of the next level, and it's almost a shame it wasn't the nesting consciousness doing this, because it could have been a nice new evolution of that character as a villain.
I kind of had that thought myself. While I enjoyed the fact that, again, it's just a virus. It's it's the Andromeda strain. There's nothing decision making. Well, unless it's the spawn or swarm.
Yeah.
Unless it's that thing. There's nothing decision making about what a virus does. It just does.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of cool. But at the same time, I agree with you, because I think had it been the nesting consciousness now evolving and doing something with a virus in order to propagate itself, that's kind of like the great intelligence taking over Wi-Fi. It's one of those very intuitive leaps of, oh, okay, yeah, cool. And so it could have been a neat idea, but as it was, I still think it works great.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think it needed to be its own thing, and I'm kind of glad that we got the Auton drop, but we didn't go there with that. So
yeah,
I
didn't need to be. It just would have been an interesting way to take it.
Yeah.
I very much, once again, appreciated Ryan and Graham. I did it again, Ryan and Graham, for being the voices of confusion, as it were, and needing to have things spelled out for him, which was a lot of fun. And
is it okay that I don't know what pathogen means? Yeah, it's okay, because
I was going to ask.
I'm glad you asked.
I'm glad you asked, because I didn't have to.
And I felt, once again, we kind of went right up to the line with Yaz, with, okay, here's this guy, and he's a cop, but he's on sabbatical, as it were. I don't go around, announcing that and I kind of thought we were going to get just a little bit more of that maybe they were going to have some kind of connection, and she was going to, because we don't know why he's not on duty.
Yeah, that was another thing they did not.
We can assume it's because of the breakup.
That was another thing they did not tell us.
But he's so desperate to continue to be a cop, that almost seems more like, well, something more serious happened at work, and we didn't go into it.
Which one of you brought up the idea that you were worried that they were going to kill Yaz off? Was that you?
I was, yeah.
I wish you hadn't done that, because I was watching this, and she's going to go through that thing, and I thought, oh, this is where she's going to... And then I thought she was going to get on that ship and sacrifice that, and it ended up being what's-his name, but the ex-cop. But this whole episode, I kept thinking, oh my gosh, they're going to kill off Yaz. And you planted that seed. I probably wouldn't have been as worried watching this.
Well, now you're more emotionally invested.
Yeah, I guess so.
She had a lot of those moments, too.
She did.
There was a thing back there I got to go back for.
Right.
And the doctor's like...
That was my first thought.
Yeah, mine too.
And then she's going to go through the thing, and then she's on this, where she thinks she's on another planet.
We're going to follow that through that teleport, huh? Yep. Oh, that's a bad idea. This thing's got a gas mask on. Don't you think maybe that the environment you're going to is poisonous to humans? I don't know. Probably not oxygen. Didn't think that one through. Okay. Hey, we're on another planet.
But we're not really at the bottom of the Indian Ocean.
I like the fact that she took those leaps, and, she's thinking these things through and trying to figure out how to take care of things without the doctor telling her, hey, go take care of this. Hey, go take care of that.
That's what I liked about this.
And that's kind of what Ryan and Graham have fallen back to, unless they're literally on their own, like Ryan was to pick up their crow. They're literally just waiting for the doctor to tell them something to do.
Well, and she gives him praise for thinking about that too. So
yeah.
While also saying that she wondered why he smelled bad.
Thought you changed your body wash.
I also like although it's a bit of a stretch, I also like, first of all, giving Ryan something to do by, Ryan, I want you to dissect it. And he was like, looks at her like, what? Well, you could do it right. Obviously you've done it. Surely you did it in school. It doesn't have to be great. Well, that's good. It doesn't have to be great.
Good, it's not going to be.
Yeah. So
I like the fact that he didn't. Yeah, okay. And just immediately grabbed the gloves and was going to go into it.
And right up to when they're engineering that ship so they can fly the antidote into the atmosphere, each one of them getting a task to do, I actually bought that.
Yeah.
Even though you would look at that and go,
Graham,
how would you even know what you're doing there? But it's almost like she was able to just give them a rudimentary amount of information, and they were able to do a rudimentary amount of stuff in order to make everything work. And I believed that, and I think that was well done.
And then Graham not quite getting it and starting to do it wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I think the best was when he says, "What we're looking, the signal is coming from right behind that wall." And yes, turns it around and goes, "The signal that we're looking for is coming from right behind that door."
Well, what's great about Graham's character also is he has all these hilarious moments, and then he has that nice touching moment.
Those nice sage advice moments
where he talks, and you can see the weight of Grace's death is still on him. Yep. The fact that Bradley Walsh is able to pull off both in the same episode, yeah, I continue to be impressed by him.
And unlike some characters that we've gotten who feel like they've become, the comedic expense or
not at all
comic relief at the expense of their character, Graham never feels like they've pushed too far into that. Yeah. Oh my God, you're an idiot. Because maybe it's just because he's so endearing, but I think they still find ways to bring that balance to his character. I think a lot of that comes down to Bradley Walsh's performance of it too. I think so too.
He's able to carry it. He has that gravitas in order to carry both of those loads.
I think to what Sean was saying, some of that is also because they split some of the quote unquote idiot lines with Ryan.
Yeah.
So it's not all Graham being not understanding things. It's the two of them together not understanding things together. So it doesn't make Graham seem as stupid because he's not the only one not getting everything.
Was it Ram? Is that what you said?
Ram.
Or Brian?
Yeah. Ryan and Graham. Ram.
Oh, why isn't it Brian? Why isn't it Brian?
Because that's hard to say. Because it's not Graham and Ryan. It's Ryan and Graham. I had somewhere I was going to go with that. Now I've been derailed. Thanks, Glenn. Okay. So here's the linchpin of the I don't believe this for 1 second is let's go ahead and pitch a tent and camp out in the trash heap. when she looked at her and says, "We are not spending the night here," I went, "You go, girl." And then there's this tent and a campfire, and I went, "Oh, no way!" There is absolutely no way. None. No.
I bought it since they do a travel vlog, and I really kind of felt like,
Once
that seems like something
that
you would do for the sake of the vlog. We went to this what was once a beautiful lake, and it's completely polluted with trash now, and to make it even more impactful as far as something that you're videoing for a blog, you stay there as well.
Okay, putting it in that context, yes. Now I can believe
it's a total subtext thing.
Yeah, if they were just campers and they were exploring, but putting that vlog element to it.
I think I would have needed to have had a scene with one of them
vlogging it.
If instead of being woken up by a strange noise, if the girl had gone out first thing in the morning with her phone and said, "Well, this was supposed to be this, great."
I don't think she would have done it though, because she was just she was disappointed
she
that
was
they
not
had
happy.
stayed.
Well, I think the fact that you see them with the screen initially, and then later, what's her face asks Ryan, and then Yaz, "Oh, you've never heard of me?"
Yeah.
That's what sold it to me. That's why they camped out.
Yeah, and I didn't even make that connection until now when Glenn brought it up. So. Yeah. I'll let it go.
I watch a lot of travel vlogs too, and they get some really weird situations.
Anything for those downloads.
Yeah, I wouldn't have stayed at that little hotel, but that you did because you got all those clicks. Yeah.
Yep.
I guess I'm missing out on.
You go down a YouTube rabbit hole, Sean. Something gets suggested to you, and you go, "Yeah, I like Amtrak trains. I haven't been on an Amtrak train for a long time." And so you watch a guy who travels Amtrak because he travels some Continental car. And then after you've watched that, you think, "Well, that'd be fun. I sure haven't traveled by train for a long time." And then suddenly you got in the recommendation. Some guy tried out a first class car on an Amtrak, and I had the first class car. I didn't even know they had them, so I watched the video. And then after I'm done with that, I get another suggestion, and then it's some guy and a gal that's traveling to every country in the U.S. in the world over 2 years, and they're riding this. And the reason I get them is because they're taking the Siberian transit across Siberia all the way to Moscow, and so I sit and I watch that. Well, that one's like a 6-part series. Well, I watched the first one, so now I've got to watch all 6 parts.
This is why,
and because
you are behind on Good Place,
and because it's a couple, a couple that's traveling together, I get a recommendation for this couple that go try out pod hotels in Japan, and I watch 4 of the 5 of those because I'm thinking, who can stay in one of these? But they do. And then my new thing is now I'm in Japan. I'm grounded with Japan videos. Now I'm getting all of these videos of Japanese vending machines. It's a culture there. They have a vending machine for everything in Japan. And so now I'm watching all of these weird vending machines. And this guy eating cheeseburgers vended out of a machine. And ramen noodles and cup of soup. And it's crazy. Light bulbs. Vending machines for light bulbs. No.
Oh, okay.
Canned bread. Did you know there was such a thing? Canned bread.
No, I didn't. I feel. First of all,
our next podcast is going to be travel.
It's funny you say
That's
that.
roaming.
3 it's roaming.
First of all, anytime my YouTubing leads me down a rabbit hole, it usually ends in disappointment. Because I'm watching YouTube like Doctor Who opens. I'm like, oh, cool. Oh, here's a music video that somebody put all the opens together, and I'll sit there for 20 minutes watching everything I've already seen. And then the next recommendation is, well, maybe if you like that, you'll like, here's 20 fake Doctor Who opens from fans. Okay, I'll watch that. And inevitably it winds up coming up with a really terrible video that I had no interest in anyway, and I think, why am I doing this? And I turn it off. I am now extremely jealous that you seem to find cool stuff on your YouTube searches.
I'm not searching anything. It's the normal algorithm of it.
But listening to this, I am once again, we were just ahead of the times because what you just did was 7 minutes of garbage. We just needed YouTube. That was the missing link for that podcast.
Right.
That's an old joke, guys. Look it up.
Long-time listeners will get that. Yeah.
And now I kind of want to do that.
Do a podcast on that.
Somebody called Dave.
You guys got anything on this since we've completely tangented off of this story?
Hey, 3 Idiots roaming.
We've roamed all over the place.
I'm not going to be able to edit this one, am I? Well, what do we got coming up on the schedule, Sean?
Well, as always, coming up on the schedule.
As always?
As always. For the next, this was 6?
4 more weeks.
4 more weeks. As always, the next episode of Doctor Who is on the schedule, which I don't have a title. Glenn, or Keith, do you have a title?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear? Do you have the title?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I already said your mic's working. Do you have the title?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now? No.
I am scared. That is not a good title. But we'll see.
We'll see the next time. It looks scary.
Yeah, well,
we actually got a next time on this one. So,
is it written by the same guy that wrote "It Takes You Away"?
I hope not.
No, but this episode tonight was written by the guy
he's
who
0
wrote
for 2.
Blam.
Oh well.
Really?
Yeah, so he redeemed himself.
All right.
Oh, this one
This
was.
one.
This
oh,
one was.
okay. Good.
I don't know
Yeah.
who.
Yeah,
He
50-50.
did.
All
He
right.
did. All right. He's 1-1. The other guy's 0-2.
Yeah, because he wrote Orphan 55.
Orphan 55.
Blech.
Yeah.
That falls in the echelons of Fear Her and
Oh,
End of
now I
Time.
don't know about that.
oh yeah.
Fear Her is a whole nother level of...
Orphan 55 is down there.
Oof. I don't know. That'll make a great TARDIS cost discussion. Because we can get a little negative on that one.
Yeah. All right. Well, be sure to check out our website, travelingvortex.com, for updates on this podcast. And be sure to check out TARDIS Sauce, speaking of, over on Sci-Fi For Me TV on YouTube. You can find them over there. You can also go to sci-fi4me.com, and I'll get you to that link as well. And we do that podcast with those guys over there. And we've also been doing some reviews, so maybe a little different take on these episodes that we've been reviewing on here. I kind of say the same thing every time I'm on there, but
I'll rewatch it again before.
Yeah, there you go. There's some.
Before
Sometimes we'll give some insight over there that you may not have heard on here, so be sure you're checking those out. While you're on our website, be sure and click on Patreon and consider supporting us. And remember, you can send your comments and feedback to feedback@travelingthevortex.com or by clicking on the send feedback link on that website.
Can we revise that statement? Instead of saying you can click on the Patreon link and consider supporting us, can we say you can consider supporting us and then click on the Patreon link and please do so?
Valid point.
That's true. Well, if that's going to do it for this time, until next time, I'm Glenn.
I'm Sean.
I'm Keith.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Be seeing you. Thanks for listening to us roam.
Roam
If you want to, roam around the world. Roam if you want to, without wheels, without wings.
Sure.
Roam if you want to.
It's not Love Shack. I'm not as familiar with it.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.